Welcome to Wow Crochet Designs. My name is Mary, and in today's tutorial we are working on the towel topper for Christmas. Oh, very nice, don't you think? Okay, so we have this gorgeous Christmas tea towel, and yours truly has decided to do this towel as our very last Christmas item for 2021. We did have some other projects. I ran out of time and we didn't fit them all in. Hey, let's hold them out till next year. Christmases aren't going anywhere fast, right? Well, they are these days. For today's tutorial, what you'll need is 30 to 35 grams of 8 ply, DK weight or a number 3 cotton. Now I used Bendigo Woollen Mills 8 ply cotton. Now the thing with that is that I found this cotton a little soft for this project, and don't get me wrong, we are going to be using this cotton to make a gorgeous top in March of 2022. Get excited. But in the meantime, I'm so naughty. In the meantime, I would suggest using a more a dense cotton, not so much thicker, but a dense cotton, one that's an 8 ply, it's a little bit more tough, if that makes any sense. This is a soft 8 ply, which is great for garments, and we will be making one in March. Get excited. You will need your measuring tape. You will need that. You will need your 4mm say that again, your 4mm crochet hook. And that's the one we use throughout the tutorial. You'll also need, now I don't know if you have one of these, this is a number 14, it's a very old crochet hook, and I use it to make the holes in the tea towel, and it makes the holes very easy, and you don't need to do the sewing up the top there. You can just crochet your yarn onto the tea towel using a very thin hook. You could get away with a 2mm hook, 1.5, but this is a number 14, relatively old crochet hook. So there you go. Now you will need your scissors. I'll bring that out a bit. You will need your scissors. You will need a sewing darning needle. Let's not do that again. And you will need probably 10 to 12 stitch markers. All right, and you'll need your patience. Oh, it's not difficult, it's not, trust me, it's relatively easy. You just need to take your time when you're creating your piece, as you do with everything. But I'm not going to talk anymore because this tutorial, like the rest of my other tutorials, does go for a long time. So I'm going to let you get started creating your gorgeous Christmas tea towel topper. Good luck all. Alrighty guys, now I messed up the recording here a minute ago, and I did all of this and even started doing some work here and realised I forgot to press record. So what I'm going to do is just quickly take all of this undone, and I do apologise in advance for this guys, and I've even missed some of my towel by taking it undone. I'm so sad. It happens, you know, it happens. Maybe it's just because it's Christmas and I'm tired. That's the excuse I'm using. All right, so you need to grab a tea towel. Make sure you straighten it out nice and even. You might need an iron to iron out these creases that you had before. I'm not going to do that because, well, I didn't need to because I've already finished mine. Well, I started finishing it. And then you turn it to the wrong side. This is the side that's going to face you, yeah? Just turn it over for a minute. Make sure everything is straight the way you want it. Pass your work halfway in. Pass your piece halfway in. And then do the same to the opposite side. Now, what you want to do is make sure that everything, I dropped my measuring tape, sorry guys. Make sure that everything is straight and even to the way you want. Now I know it is because I've already done it. I already did it. And I'm sorry, and I forgot to show you. Hello, wake up, Mary. Make sure yours is... I'm having a bad day. Make sure yours is 20 centimetres or 8 inches across, and your actual piece is halfway there. Now I know a lot of people fold their tea towels differently. We're going to do it this way. If you don't want to do it this way, that's fine. You have another way. Just make sure you get 20 centimetres or 8 inches out of your piece. All right, I know a lot of people don't like this way because sometimes they miss that when they're sewing or they're crocheting, whatever, and then they get upset that they miss it. Well, I won't, because I know already that I've marked these. So what I want you to do, I can't believe I messed the recording up. I want you firstly to, actually I didn't do that, did I, this time? I did it before. Make sure they're even, yeah? Grab a couple of stitch markers or safety pins, not safety pins, sewing pins or even safety pins if you like, just to make sure this part is straight. Now I know for a fact that they go through this towel because I did it before, but if yours don't go through, just grab some safety pins or pins, whatever you have. You can put a sewing needle through it if you like, but we are going to use our crochet hook today, guys. And we're going to use a very fairly thin crochet hook, all right? But for now, what I need you to do, and you can probably see the marks already, grab your measuring tape and 1 centimetre or just on half an inch off your piece. I'm sorry, I'm not even in frame. 1 centimetre, half an inch off your piece. That's how low down you want to go, yeah? And across, you just need to do exactly the same. 1 centimetre or half an inch, mark it. 2, 3, I've marked it at 4, I've marked it at 5, I've marked it at 6. Mark it all the way across and you should get right up to your 20th stitch, yeah? Or your 20th dot. All right, now your 20th dot lands, or your 19th dot lands there. So your 20th dot would have probably been in there somewhere, but don't worry too much about it. Now, you're going to grab a small, very tiny size crochet hook. This one is a 14, a number 14. It's one of the oldest crochet hooks. I want to look, see how old this is. Check out the, I won't have an age or anything, but they don't make this one anymore, I don't think. Actually, I don't know. Aero in England. If anyone comes from the UK, let me know whether they still make this. I don't know. But it is a really old crochet hook. Okay, it's one of the old steel ones. All right, so that, in all honesty, our normal 4mm hook might even go through it, because I actually popped this through the other one that I made. Let me just try it with the other one so I don't damage this one. And it literally goes right through it. So you could probably get away with a really thin head, a 4mm hook if you wanted to. I would not do that. I would use a smaller hook as possible, because that way you don't damage your tea towel. All right, so all you're doing from here, grabbing your thread. That's not it, that's a piece of thread that's dangling. You had one job, Mary, just to grab the thread. Oh, I can't believe my luck today. It's been a bad day, all right? All right, so grabbing your hook. And what we're going to do is just pop our hook right on the edge there. Just there, yeah? Where you're going through all thicknesses, but you're on the edge of your work, yeah? So just grab your thread and pull the loop through. Now, I found when I was doing the other one yesterday that it kept splitting my yarn because this is not the right hook for it. All right, but we're going to try everything once, yeah? All right, from here, you're going to chain 1, just there. Then you are going to put a single crochet in your very first dot. So you pop your hook in the dot through both thicknesses. Make sure you're going through both sides, yeah? Pull the loop through. So you're going to finish off your single crochet. All right, then you're going to jump straight into the very next stitch, or the very next dot. Pop your hook in, pull that loop. Let's try it again. Pull the loop through like so, single crochet. Now making sure you're keeping these stitches fairly tight, don't leave them too loose, yeah? And I've split that stitch. That is actually a stitch there, all right? So make sure later you get into that. In fact, you know what? Just pop a stitch marker in there to remind you that that's actually a stitch right there. So pop the stitch marker in there. And you're popping it through both the loops, yeah? Just going to bring it out a little bit so that I can move further in and see what I'm doing. That's better. because it's a little thinner, the hook, it's hard for me to see anything here, like, you know, all that splitting that I'm doing. Yeah. Oh, you can do this, Mary. All right, single crochet. Making sure you're not doing a Mary. I'm going to call this doing a Mary today. In every tutorial there's doing a Mary, and this one is the splitting of the yarn, and it's not moved. That's better. All right, so continue. I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me split this yarn all the way through. Continue along. All right, making your single crochets in every dot that you made, and it doesn't matter if you can see the dot. Later, when we crochet over this section here, you will not see it, all right? So go ahead, keep doing that all the way across, and I'll go ahead and I'll keep splitting my yarn, and I'll meet you right back here on the last dot in a moment. Alrighty guys, here I am at the end of the row, and these are my stitches, okay? Now, so long as you did these fairly tight, if these are loose, they're no good. They've got to be really tight, otherwise your towel will sag, like it'll sag from the towel, yeah? So now I didn't want you to see me do the last stitch because it just took me forever to do. So what we're going to do is, like we did before, we had that little tiny stitch there. That's exactly what we're going to do here. So we're going to pop our little hook through the edge there, pull the loop through like so, and finish off that single crochet, chain one. All right, so there you go. So that's what you don't need that little hook anymore. Let's get rid of it because it upset me. It really upset me. Grab your 4mm hook or whatever hook size your thread calls for. Now mine is an 8 ply. Okay, so just grab that and get ready. This is the easy part, guys. You've chained your one. You're going to turn your work like you would if you were doing normal crochet, which we are doing normal crochet. And in that space right there, that's last stitch that you made, you're going to pop 2 single crochets. But before you do, just do one like that for now, and grab your stitch marker and pop it in that stitch right there. Really important to do that with this particular pattern because we're going to be doing a lot of decreasing along the way as well. But in the same stitch, you're going to pop another single crochet like so. So you've got your 2. And this is getting real squeaky. I might end up changing our crochet hooks later. All right, then you're going straight into the next stitch there, the little 2 loops, and you're going to pop 2 single crochets. 1, 2. Oh, can you hear the squeaking? And you're going to do 2 into your next. This is pretty much your pattern all the way across this side right here. All right, so 2 single crochets all the way across the row. I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me do it. Do your 2 single crochets, go all the way across that row, get to your last stitch marker, and I'll meet you there in a moment. Alrighty guys, I have gone right up to that second last stitch, and now this stitch marker right here, we are putting 2 single crochets in that stitch marker stitch. 1 and 2. Take out your stitch marker for now. All right, from here you are going to chain your 1, turn your work. Turn it the way you like, whichever suits you. Remain consistent throughout your work. That's all you need to do. How gorgeous does it look already? And we haven't even started. We haven't even started. All right, so from here, in that same stitch that we are in right there, not the chain that we just made, but the actual stitch, you're going to pop a single crochet, 1. Stitch marker back in it. I'll just pick up any stitch marker I see, whatever's lying around. All right, and we're going to go into the very next stitch. Now that is right there. Right there, you can't miss it. So, well, you can, that's why I'm telling you where it is. Single crochet there. 2. I might change the hook. This is really squeaky. Single 3. Single 4. Altogether, by the way, guys, you should have had 40 single crochets across there. Now, if you ended up with 2 more, that's okay. If you ended up with 2 less, that's okay. If you ended up with one more or one less, you just have to be careful with your stitch count later, which we will work on anyways. But as long as it's relatively, it doesn't matter because we can fix it. Doesn't matter how we go, we can fix it when we get to the pattern section. But in the meantime, guess what you're doing? You're going to do 1 row single crochet across there, get to that last stitch marker, and I will meet you there in a moment. Alrighty guys, now yours truly did change my hook because the other one, as comfortable as it was really squeaky for the camera. And I'm happy to use it again, but probably not in front of the camera. Anyway, so you needed to do a single crochet in each stitch all the way across, jump straight into your last stitch and do a single crochet. Now we're going to have a 2-row repeat here for a little while, okay? Now the first row is you're chaining your 1, you're flipping your work like normal, flip, 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 flip. Okay, in your first stitch you are putting a single crochet, and you know how to do that. 1 single crochet, super easy. Grab your stitch marker again and pop it in. Oops, let's try that again. Pop it in there. Now over your next 4 stitches you're going to do decreases, and the way we do a decrease is pop your hook in your first stitch that you see, which is the very next stitch you come to, pull a loop through like normal, 2 loops on your hook, go right into that very next stitch, pull a loop through like normal, and now you've got 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. So your 2 stitches have now just become 1, and that's the little V you're looking at there. All right, you're going to do it again over the next 2 stitches. So pop your hook in your very next stitch, pull your loop through, 2 loops, into the next stitch, pull your loop through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And that is all you've done there. A single, and then you've done 2 singles, but you've put 4 of those stitches together to become 2. All right, so now you're just doing a single crochet. Let's bring that out a bit. All the way across your row. I'm going to pop this on fast for you, and what I want you to do is get to your last 5 stitches, and actually what you're looking at is these little V's. So your last 5 V's in the row, which will be there, that's your first one, and then you've got your 4 more before it. All right, so get to your last 5 V's and I will meet you there in just a moment, and I'll pop this on fast for you and off we go. Alrighty guys, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me get it close up there and I'll do that again. Alright, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so over the next 2 stitches you're going to do that join together again. Okay, pop your hook in, pull a loop through, into your next stitch, pull a loop through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through, into your next, pull a loop through, and your next, pull a loop through, yarn over, pull through, and then your last stitch you're just doing a normal single crochet like that. Chain 1, and there you go. All right, so what you did here is you actually reduced 2 stitches on either side, both sides, sorry. Now you should have, if you had 40 before, you should now have 36 stitches. Yes, flip your work. Did you chain your 1? I did. Yes, make sure you've chained that 1 before you flip. We're going to need that space to crochet in at the end. Okay. All right, and now this row, super easy, single in your first. Whoops, take out that stitch marker. You don't need it there anymore because you need it in. I didn't do a very good job at that single. Let's try that again. I don't know what happened there. We'll try it again. Excuse me, but single in your first. I think I just pulled it too tight, that's all. All right, there you go. Now, single in your next. Now that's the join 2 together stitch. Hope that's not too far for you. Yep. and single in your next. Also the join two together stitch. All right, so that's easy. You're just doing a single crochet in every stitch you come to. And at the end of this row, you should have 36 stitches as well. All right, so just get to the end of this row and I'll meet you there in a moment. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this row. I have one more stitch to go. Like that, and that's pretty much it. Just chain your one for a minute and get ready for some instructions. All right, so what you're going to do now, you need to repeat those two rows until you get to 28 stitches. All right, so we now have 36, so 36 take away 4 is 32. 32 take away 4 is 28. So you need to do it 4 more rows. You need to do 1 row of decrease, 1 row single crochet, 1 row decrease, 1 row single crochet, and I will meet you back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, what you should have now is that starting to take shape already, and you can see the little angles, and you should actually have 28 stitches across. If you have an odd amount of stitches across, then you're okay for this next row, okay? Now for the rest of us, if we have an even amount, we're chaining 1, turning our work like normal, and in this row we're going to do the same thing in a decrease. So we're still going to do our single crochet in the first stitch. Pop your stitch marker in there. I'm sorry, before we do that, find your center of your piece. Now your center, if you had 28 stitches across, the center of your piece will be 14. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So just pop a stitch marker on that 14th stitch. Now, if you have an odd amount of numbers, you don't need to do this part. But for the rest of us who have an even amount of numbers, you need to pop your stitch marker in that center stitch. All right, so we did our first single crochet, yes? Now the next two, this is the decrease row. You should have ended off with a single crochet row, yeah? So now you need to decrease again. So 1 and 2 together in your first stitch, and then 1 and 2 together in your second. So those are your 2 stitches, even though you've had just done 4, yeah? Now you single crochet until you get to your stitch marker. For those of you who have an odd amount of stitches, you just single crochet until you get to your last 5 stitches and do your normal decrease at the end of the row. But for the rest of us whom are with an even amount of stitches, we need to decrease in that very next stitch where your stitch marker is. So those 2 there. So the first one and then the second one together. Take out your stitch marker, single in your first, pull a loop through, and your next, pull a loop through, and there's your decrease, like so. And now you single crochet across until you get to your last 5 stitches. And that's not that far off, so we won't pop it on fast, so just leave it there. I kept passing it on the other rows. I was going so fast, I kept passing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got one more to go. Oops, that didn't work. I don't know how I pulled that thread through there. All right, so now from here we do our 2 together, remember, as we've been doing in every second row, 2 together in your next one, and a single crochet in that last one, like normal. So now if you had your 28 before, we should have an odd amount of stitches, which is 23. Now normally we would turn around and do a row of single crochets. We're not going to do that, no. And the reason is because if we do, it's going to put our whole pattern out of whack in the front, and we don't want that, and I'll explain that to you later. Let's chain 1 and turn like normal. So turn your work like normal. All right, now we're going to change the pattern completely to half double crochets. Now a half double crochet is your yarn over your hook, pop it in the same stitch that you are in. Ordinarily you wouldn't, but we are going to do that now. pull a loop through like normal, 1, 2, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, hold it there. Pop your stitch marker in. It's a little tricky with the half doubles, and yours truly is crocheting extremely tightly. Okay, and now what we're going to do is chain 1. And we're going to skip 1 and do a half double in the next one. So yarn over your hook, we're going to skip that first stitch, skip 1, jump into the next with your half double, pull a loop through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook, chain 1. Guess what? That's it for the rest of the row. Skip 1, jump into the next, half double. Chain 1, skip that first one, jump into your next with a half double, and so on, all the way across your row. Simple. I'm not going to pop this on fast because it's going to go fairly quickly, being the fact that we are skipping a stitch. Whoops, every now and then. Chain 1, 1, 2. Chain 1, 1 and 2. Chain 1, 1 and in the second one. Chain 1, 1 and in the second one. Chain 1 in the second one, and right now you should be on your 3rd last stitch. I'm sorry if I'm going too fast, I just realized that. My apologies, guys. Chain 1. I do apologize, I just forget sometimes when I'm on air. Yarn over the hook, and we're going to actually just pop a half double in your very last stitch. So you're skipping your second last and you're jumping into your last. I'll slow it down, I promise, guys. And there's your half double. So what you have is that exactly. Yeah. Now what we're going to do, we're going to flip our work and we're going to be putting half doubles inside the spaces. All right, so flip your work like normal. I'm sorry, chain 1 and then flip your work like normal. Wake up, Mary. All right, in the same stitch, this is a little tricky because this half double is a bit tight, but in that same stitch, you've got to pop a half double, just in that same stitch right there. Bit tricky, but it is there. Pop your half double in, put your stitch marker in there. I think I split the back of it, but it doesn't matter. We'll sort that out later. And you are popping a half double in the space as well. So pop your half double in that space. And that's actually around all of that work that you've done there, that chain 1 space. Your half double goes right around the chain 1 space. Pull the loop through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to skip this half double and do a half double in the next space. In you go with 1 half double. Yes, yarn over your hook, skip that half double into the space with a half double. That's really close now, isn't it, guys? Skip the stitch into your half double with a half double. Skip, half double, easy pattern all the way across. And what this is doing is actually tightening up your work. So it's pulling your work in, which is what we want. Half double, half double. And we are at the end of the row. Was I going too fast? Slow down, Mary. We're skipping that stitch. We're going into the space with the half double. And then right in the top stitch there, you're going to put a half double in that really tight stitch. Let me take out my stitch marker, hey? Let me take it out. See how cross I got then? I just banged that stitch marker down. I got really cross with myself. And there you go. Don't get cross with yourself, guys. All right, so that's the start of your pattern. The actual pattern itself needs to be on the other side. So when I told you we're not going to do that row of single crochet, it's because we would have made the pattern on the wrong side. So now we're going to start with the pattern, okay? But before we do, we're going to chain 1. Chain 1, Mary. Chain 1. All right, turn your work like normal. And then you're doing a half double in that same stitch that you are in. So half double in your first stitch there. Pop your stitch marker in. Notice I did that stitch nice and loosely. There you go, like so. Then this is where our pattern comes into play. All right, From here, you need to put another half double crochet, but just in the very next stitch only for now. And there you go, and that's your half double. Alrighty guys, now what we're going to do is a double crochet front post on this half double crochet from your second last row. That all sounded like a lot, didn't it? It didn't mean anything. Just do a double crochet, so yarn over your hook around this post here. So pop your hook in that space around your post, pull a loop through and raise it up nice and tall, and you should have 1, 2, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2, and that gives it that pulling forward look. All right, now we're going to go back to doing half double crochets, but not in that stitch because we already did. So we're going directly into your very next stitch and do your half double crochets there. All right, yarn over your hook, you're going to do a double crochet front posts. Go around that post, pull the loop through like so. 1, 2, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. So you're doing a double crochet, a normal double crochet, but you're doing it around the post instead of the stitches. And then you're doing your half double crochets all the way across. So half double in there and your front post in there. So I might just get really close for you so you can see. Half double in your first stitch, which is there. You've been doing all that all along, yeah? And there's your post. So you've got your yarn over your hook, you're going around that post and through to the front. And then you're just pulling a loop through up nice and tall. And then you've got your 3, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. It's a little bit tricky with the red, isn't it? But there you go. Half in your next. And your front post. There. All right, so you're going to continue that all the way across your row, and off we go. And I'll try not to go too fast. I just realised I was going fast automatically. Let's slow it down. Oh dear, can't take me anywhere. All right, anywhere but out, they say. Anywhere but out. Whoops, almost forgot that post right there. Being careful, take your time. Don't rush like Mary does. Crazy Mary, crazy lady. All right, so around the post. And we're almost at the end of the row. Half double crochet. I'm going to get close now. I know I just pulled the camera out when I put it back in now. Bring it back in. Here we go. All right, so I've got the 2 posts left and then your normal stitch at the end. So we're going to go around that post right there. Half double in the stitch there, yeah. Around that post there. And then you've got 2 stitches here, okay? You can't see them, maybe you can't, maybe you can. But the first one is right there. I need you to pop a half double in there. And then a half double in your stitch marker stitch. I'm going to take mine out because I'm pretty sure mine's tight. Half double in your stitch marker stitch, guys. There you go. I'm just going to pull that loop up for a minute so you can have a look at the design. All right, so if we were to have done that row of single crochet, we would be working on this side right now, which actually doesn't look too bad either. It looks more like a rat stitch, but we want that half double crochet, let's try front post double crochet look, okay? All right, so what we're going to do now this is the easy part, guys. This is a very easy part, trust me. You're chaining 1, yes? Turning your work like normal. And you're doing a single crochet in that same stitch, right there. Pop your stitch marker in. Oh, hello, in. It's not that hard. And do a single crochet in your very next stitch. It's tiny, but it's in there. I don't know why it's so tight, but anyway. Single crochet in that stitch all the way across, like so. until you get to the end of your row. And then from there, we're going to start our decreasing again. And that decreasing that we're going to do, we're going to decrease until we reach 13 stitches. But it's not just decreasing, it's decrease one row, single crochet the next, decrease one row, single crochet the next. But first we're just going to finish off this row right here. I'm talking and I shouldn't have been, should I? I'm rushing this because I want you to head off on your own and do the rest, because I think you know what you're doing. Well, not the rest, not the whole piece, just this next section. And what you're making is the strap to go around your stove handle or around a, any kitchen handle, your fridge handle, fridge door handle, whatever. Okay, so I would like for you in a minute, once I get to the end here, nearly there. Well, actually, I should do this part close up so you can see. All right, so there's 2 stitches there. I think I did split that stitch. You can see it right there. See that? Yeah, naughty me. Single in that stitch. Let's take out that stitch marker. I'm very naughty. I am. And single in that stitch right there. All right. And all you've done in this row here is just tightened up that row a little bit. All right. So now your job is to start doing your decrease and your single crochet rows. Okay. So you're chaining 1. Now we had 23 stitches, if I remember correctly. We might want to count it actually. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. And then we've just done that little chain that almost looks like a 24, but it's not. All right. So we have 23 stitches. Turn your work. And in your first stitch, you're doing your normal single crochet. Now you remember how we decreased before? We're going to do exactly the same, but we're not decreasing in the center like we did with that middle stitch, just on the sides again. So your first 2 stitches, you're doing your decrease. And you know this part because you've done it so many times, yeah? 1. And in your second one, you're doing your decrease again. And 2. That's it. And then you're single crocheting to your last, until you get to your last 5 stitches. Whoops, did I go too far? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I did 2. We've done 1 extra. Let's take that one off. And single in your next, and your next together, like that. You know that part. You've done it many times before. 1 and 2 together. And your last one. There, take out your stitch marker. And there you go. All right. So now you've taken 2 and 4 stitches off. So you should be down to 19 stitches. Yes? 23 take away 4, yeah, 19 stitches. Oh, I almost lost count. Okay. And this next row is just a plain single crochet row. So flip your work without knocking the frame down, Mary. I'm doing well today, guys. I'm doing well. So single crochet, pop your stitch marker in, and single crochet all the way across your row. All right, and those are the 2 rows you need to do until you reach 13 single crochets across. I'm sorry, I rushed this row for you, but I did on purpose because I want to give you some instructions now. All right, so that's the last stitch in that row. So what you need to do now, and this is the easier bit than the easy bit, you just need to repeat those last 2 rows 4 more times. So you need 1 row of decrease and a row of single crochet, 1 row decrease and a row of single crochet. When you're finished that, you should have 11 stitches left, if we did our count right. All right, so head off on your own, do 4 more rows, 2 decreases and 2 singles, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, you should have ended off with a single crochet row. Make sure you have your 11 stitches across. And you know how I said before the row was easy? Well, it's going to get even easier. And I've split the yarn, so it's not easy for me because I keep splitting this yarn. It's terrible at the moment. So I've chained one, I've chained your one, make sure that's chained. And guess what? You're just going to do single crochet rows across. For how many times, I hear you ask? There's a tricky question. No, it's not that tricky. You need I'm so naughty. You need another 10 rows. So we're going to do one row together now. And then what I want you to do is head off on your own and do 9 more rows of single crochet. And then we'll talk about adding the buttonhole at the end of this, and then adding the button on our front of our work. Yes? So there you go. Let's just keep going. We're almost there. 11 stitches. So quick to work on, isn't it? Don't you love it? Don't you love it? All right. We could have done 13 stitches and made it a bit wider. If you are finding that this is not wide enough for your button, and now this is the button I'm going to use right here. That's the button I'm going to use. It's relatively big, yeah? In fact, I was going to use the green one because I liked green with the red being Christmas and all. But funnily enough, when you bring this out, let me show you. I find the white looks better. It'll go there, right? So white does look better for me. I put the green there and, you know, it's great and all. And don't get me wrong, it's great, but it's so much bigger. I find it too bulky. So I thought the white was the right size and I didn't have time to go shopping, so I'm going to use the white. And I do like the white on the red. It does look nice too. All right, but that's beside the point. What I would like for you to do now is to continue along these single crochets over and over again. Get to the end of your 10th row, which is actually 9 more rows because we just did one. So do 9 more rows and I will meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of our 9th row, or 10th altogether if you think about it. All right, and what I would like for you to do, we're going to do one more decrease round, but only in the center of your work. So just chain your chain and then do your single crochet in your first. Add your stitch marker right there. All right, because if you remember correctly, we have 11 stitches. All right, now just so you know, for this pattern to work for me, I'm using a chain 2 space for my button. So I need an even amount of stitches. If your button is bigger than that, you can keep your 11 stitches. If your button is smaller than that, a tiny little bit smaller than that one, you can keep your 11 stitches. Now let me just show you the measurement of my button. Just going to grab my measuring tape. My button measures, let's get a nice close up for you. My button measures 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch. All right, so it's a 1 inch button. If your button is let's say that again, 3 centimeters or 1.25 inches, then you need to keep your 11 stitches. If your button is like 2 centimeters or just under 1 inch, then you might need to leave it the same as well and only do 1 chain in between. All right, now we'll go through that once we're ready to do our buttons. But in the meantime, that's the reason why I'm decreasing 1 in the middle, to get that extra stitch, or to lose that extra stitch, if you will. Oh, come on. Where is it there? All right, so 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, 3, 4, and now 5 and 6 we're going to do together if you have the same size button that I do. Otherwise, don't do this. 1 and 2 together. And then single crochet in your next few stitches, or 4 stitches or 5 or whatever it was that was left. You should now have 10 single crochets across, which is what we want. All right, so let's get that out of there. Chain 1, flip your work, and you are going to do, so I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me do it again. You're going to go ahead and do another 7 rows of single crochet, and I will meet you back here once you've completed your 7th row. Go ahead and do your 7 rows, and I'll meet you back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, here I am at the end of my 7 rows. Actually, before we go on, I just want to measure this for you so you can get an idea of the measurement you need. All right. Now, where we finished off, let's get a close up. Where we finished off our decreased rows there, and we started doing our normal single crochet rows. What you need for your width from there to there is 3.5, roughly 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters. And that should actually, so I can show you what we're doing, get you over there. So your buttonhole would be right there. All right. If by any chance it's smaller than that, that's not going to go over your oven rail. Trust me, unless you've got a really thin oven railing. Yeah. Or your bathroom rail, whatever, it may not go over that. So if you had it really small, it will be really tight. However, you know, crochet does stretch. So, you know, if you did make it too small, don't stress too much, it will stretch. But for me, I would like it to go there. So we've got plenty of room for it to sit nicely. And you can probably fit 2 fingers if you think about it in that little slot there. All right, and that's where our buttonhole is going to start, which is this row right now. Let's stop talking and get it done. Yes, we're nearly finished, guys. Get excited. We're nearly done. You're thinking, are you sure? Yeah. No, not really. There's a few things we need to do. A few more things, but they're little things. All right, single in your first stitch marker. Single in your second, single in your third, third, single in your fourth, hold it there, chain 1 and 2, skip 1 and 2, single in your next, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so what you have there is your 4 single crochets and 4 single crochets and a little space in the middle for your buttonhole. Now, before we check the buttonhole, we're going to do one more row because that will help stretch that a little bit and give your buttonhole a bit of a stretch. Firstly, we're chaining 1 before we turn. Of course we are. Mary, take out your stitch marker. Oh my gosh, can't take me anywhere. All right, so single in your tight first one, yep, stitch marker, single in your second, your third, fourth, and in that little chain space you are doing 2 single crochets, 1 right around it, 2, and a single across, 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the stitch marker. Chain 1 and just pull up that loop for a moment and check your button and make sure that your button fits your little space. All right, so there's my 2. I don't know if I can get it to fit. Hello. Let's do it the front way because when we go backwards, you can't really see what's going down. Guess what? It fits. You like that? It fits. All right. Do 5 rows of single crochet and then we'll add the button, just straight single crocheting. When I get myself organized, do your 5 rows of single crochet over and over again. Get to your 5th row. Meet me back here and get ready for finalizing your piece. All right, go ahead, do 5 rows and I'll meet you back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, what you should have is this. All right, now just this for me landed on the wrong side, but that's okay because we are going to do one more row, but not while it's attached. We're going to start from here and I'll talk about that in a minute. But in the meantime, just grab your little tail and do your normal chain 1, which is actually pulling up a loop. make sure there's no mistakes. Yeah, check your work. And when you're happy, the scissors didn't cut properly. When you're happy, just give everything a tug and leave it there for now. All right. What we're going to do, and hopefully you were happy with that length. I'm sorry, I should have asked if you were happy with the length. What we're going to do is see that piece there. When we do our next row, in fact, you know what we'll do? We'll do the next row first, which is the final row before attaching a button, which is great. Grab your piece and find the front of your work, not the part where you've got your little, your opening area. The front of your work like that, yeah? Now, reattach your thread, but right here. The button went spinning there, but right in here. All right, remember the little tiny little space you had here? Yep. Pop your hook in that space. Yeah. Grabbing your thread. Yes, and just pulling the loop through like so. Just leave your tail there. You might want to just crochet over your tail a little bit. That'll lock it into place. All right, now it's a little tiny tricky this part, but you've got your chain spaces in between where we are going to put our single crochet rows, or single crochet row I should say. So you're chaining one, just to tighten that there, and you're going to crochet over this. All right, so you're going to pop a single crochet in the first space right over your tail like that, one. And you're going to jump straight into your next two. Keep crocheting over your tail if you like. I will. 3. We're still going to weave that in as well. It's not finished yet. And into, I might drop it now because this is where it gets a little tighter. There's no real count, okay? But keep going right into the very next stitch there. 4, and so on. There's no real count. Don't stress too much. Just make it even. Try and get into every space that you see with a single crochet. And all this is doing is neatening up the edge for you. All right, when you get here, there's your half double. You're going to pop a single crochet in that half double, a single in the space that you see there. It's actually part of the stitch. A single in your next space, and a single in your next space. Wherever you see a space, wherever you see a tiny little gap, that is where you are popping your singles. Just keep going all the way down, all the way down, and all the way down. Down, up, down, whatever you want to call it. It could be up, it could be down, depending on how you're looking at your work. All right, I'm going to pop this on fast until we get to that top end, and off we go. Alrighty guys, how did you go? We're almost there. Alright, now when you get to the top edge, you'll notice you've got your knot on this side, or you might not, depending on how many rows you did. But just single crochet before your knot, because there's a row there. And over your knot, you're going to pop your hook in, just past your knot at the back, hold it with your finger, and crochet over that tail. 1. And in the same space, you're putting a second one and a third one, all in the same space. And that was really loose. It's going to be very, very gappy. Let's try that again. A third one in your same space. And then single in every stitch, all the way across the front of your work. Now, all you're doing here is cleaning up these edges so they look nice, yeah? That is all we're doing. We're not doing anything fancy with them, just cleaning them up so they look nice and neat. There's your corner right there. So 1, 2, and 3. And guess what you're doing? Single crocheting in these spaces all the way down. All right, so that is what you should have on this side. nice and neat, yeah, all the way through there. Single crochet all the way down. Get to, I'm going to let you head off on your own and do this. Just get to, we'll do it a space before, a stitch before the end there, all right? Get to a stitch before the end, and I will meet you there in a moment. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row. Too exciting. And I'm very excited because it's actually the end of this piece. Really, if you think about it, there's 2 more things we need to do, but that's okay. Take your stitch marker out and you're doing a single crochet in that second last stitch there. And then a single crochet in your space where we first started. Yes? Pull a loop through. Give your work a cut, like so. Pull that through. I said pull it through, get it right. All right, and now we're going to weave in some ends, all right? But then we're also going to add our button. So we can, have a quick, let me just show you one end so you know what you're doing. And then later we will actually, let's flip it so we can have a look. All right, we've crocheted over that end, so I would like for you to just keep weaving that in and out a few times. But let's do the more difficult piece. All right, and that is one that is attached to the front of your work here. And let's move all this stuff out the way so it doesn't get blurry. See where that is right there? Okay, that's actually, I believe, the very first stitch we used. So what you need to do is just see that thread you see right there that's going right across this way. All you need to do is look like you're doing exactly the same. Go right across into the back of a stitch like that and just pull it. Like so, not too tight. So it looks like it's the same stitch, yeah? Turn your work. And I've pulled a thread there, I think. Look at that, I've pulled a thread. I'm going to fix it up in a minute. But in the meantime, just weave your end into the back, making sure you can't see the needle from the front, and you can't, into the back of your work. It doesn't matter. But with this one here, because it's going to be handled a lot, I would think you would want to weave it a bit more than normal. So weave it further in, more than normal, that I'd go crazy weaving in ends, yes. My regulars would know that. I'm a real big stickler at weaving in ends. So just get them through the whole piece. Make sure you can't see the needle from the front. And just pull that loop through there. I'm sorry, let's try tail. Guess what? I am a big stickler. We're going to go back one more time. Not all the way, just 3/4 of the way. And pull that loop. Oh, that's never coming out. That is so tight. That is never coming out. All right, so what I want you to do is do the same with the other end on that side. They're easy threads. What I am going to let you sit here and watch me do quickly is the button. Just grab a very small amount. That is actually too much even, all right? You can use any colour you like. I'm going to use the red because I really think that will highlight the white button, because the button is relatively plain, yeah? So we're just going to thread our needle. Get excited, guys. This is the last bit, yeah? The thing is, you need to decide. I'm on the wrong side for starters. Hello. Get to the front of your work. Hello, Mary. Get to the front of your work. All right. Now, this is why I did a square top, because when we pass this over, you have a choice of sitting it, let me show you, on the line like that. All right. Let me straighten it up a little bit, like so. Or you can sit it above that line and go there. Whatever you do, as long as you've got enough space for it to fit in your on your stove. But I would actually drop it. All right, I would drop it so that it sits exactly above your pattern. There's your pattern, and the final part of that pattern, that's where the bottom part should fit. That will give you plenty of leeway, okay? But if you do it any higher, you've got the risk of it being too tight. So what you're doing, see that little spot right there? That's our buttonhole, yeah? So just grab your needle and find a little stitch. Move that over, and that's where you're going to pop your button. Pop it in like so. Now, there's no knot on this thread, Okay, so just be wary, just pull it through, but don't pull it all the way through. You're going to weave that in later. All right, and then just find another spot. I might go upwards, only because my button has the 2 holes. If your button has the 4 holes, be prepared for that. So you've gone through there like that, yeah. Then you're going to come back through the same space that you went into the first hole, yeah. But making sure when you pull your needle through that you're not tangling up this little yarn right here, the little thread that you first started with. Give it a tug and just leave that thread there. It should be okay now. Grab your little button, and I don't know which is the right side of this button because they're both exactly the same. I think that's a bit more flatter. So there you go. Pop it through one of the holes. Pop it through the other hole. And then pop your button up the top. Now, because I've got 2 dots, I want my dots to look like that. You can have it like that if you like. I'll show you what that means in a moment when I pull this through. And you can see it there right now. See that? How those 2 holes are like that. You can put them the other way if you like. It's entirely up to you, but I like that. So when this goes over like that, it'll go over the button. In the meantime, let's keep going. Should have weaved in that end before. Not that one, this one up here. The tail up here, because it's really annoying. All right, so we're going back into that hole right there. Back into your hole right there. Pull it through, making sure you're not pulling through your tail. And back into your top part as well. Like that. And I would say let's do it one more time. Oh, that didn't work. Let's lift up our tail. There it is. You've got to lift it up to have a look. And that's plenty, that 3rd time. And leave your tail there. Keep checking to make sure you haven't caught your tail. Oh, what have I done there? There we go. We're in. All right. So that's it, pretty much. Move it over a little bit more. At the back, you turn around. You tie this in 1 knot. Nice and tight. Tie it in another knot. See how I didn't take the needle out? Because now you're going to weave in this tail as best you can. Don't fuss too much. It won't be that noticeable. All right. And you're just weaving it in through your button threading that you just did, the stitches that you just did. And once you do 1, that's plenty. You don't have to worry about overdoing it because you've done your knot and you've weaved it in twice. That's done. Okay, don't forget to weave in your other end. In the meantime, let's check that this actually works. Oops, I got the wrong side, wondering why it's not working. Hello. Excuse me, Mary, what are you doing? They're saying, what are you doing, woman? Okay, here we go. You can't take me anywhere. Anywhere but out. I keep saying that. Anywhere but out. Button is through. Ta-da! Thank you so much, guys, for joining me today making our gorgeous towel topper. We have done quite a few projects here at Wow Crochet Designs for Christmas. I will leave a link in the description box down below of all the other projects that we have made. In the meantime, guys, I just want to thank everyone for liking, subscribing and sharing our videos. Also on Facebook and other places as well. I thank you so much for everything and all the support that you give me all the time throughout the years here at Wow Crochet Designs. And all I want to say right now is really enjoy your Christmas. Have some fun, eat a lot, don't eat too much or eat too much and feel bad about it later. Whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter. And if you're celebrating it alone, don't forget you can join us here at Wow Crochet Designs. I will leave a little playlist of all our funny videos. You can have a bit of a laugh at my expense. I mean a laugh at the videos. And I will see everyone. I'll be here next week with other videos other than Christmas gear as well. I'm always working. So I will be here next week with some more videos. Thank you so much for watching. And I'm not going to say ciao for now. I'm going to say Merry Christmas 2021. I'll catch you soon.